The one and only MVP, Michael Venom page, and the other day I put on the community notes, if you have any questions for me, let me know. So there's quite a few questions. Some of you are some disrespectful motherfuckers, yeah? Listen, I got some people that can locate people, be careful, Anyway, so I'm just going through, I'm gonna pick some random ones. What's the best way in the UFC? What was your discussion like when you first talked to Dana White? So first question, best way into the UFC. It's very difficult to kind of say best way into the UFC because there's no clear cut path, unfortunately. There's kind of like somewhat more obvious step by steps with regards to a lot of other sports. So, you start at the junior level, you build yourself up, you usually get scouted from there and go into maybe the amateur level, and then from there, again, depending on how well you do, you can continue to professional. In this, obviously starting young helps, but you can start at any time. Then what you would do is once you feel comfortable with the technical, you find yourself, a good gym. Depending on that gym's relationship with the UFC, it depends on how quickly you can kind of get in there. The reason I say that is because in this game, it is definitely about who you know. Don't get me wrong, if your gym's not, let's say if you're over here from the UK, you don't have like a direct connection to, or a gym that has a direct connection with the guys in the UFC, it's about how you market yourself, one, but obviously winning fights. Get to a certain level, you're confident in your fighting ability, but you have to learn how to market yourself. So many people do not market themselves in and outside the cage. They think just fighting alone is gonna get them there, and it can, but people also, unfortunately nowadays, care about the reputation, they care about noise, followers, all of the rest. So you have to make sure you're on point with that. And what was my first discussion like with Dana White? To be fair, I didn't get approached first via Dana White. It was actually Hunter Campbell. Amazing guys. This guy is just such a cool guy, a respectful guy. Just came over. He kind of told me that he's been a fan for a while. We had a lovely discussion. Went to dinner. We've got our connection still to this day. And then he obviously introduced me to Dana White. Again, he was excited to, once I had actually signed, he was excited that I was going to be a part of the UFC. He said, man, good luck over here. I wish you all the best. Again, he seemed very, very lovely, but I don't have as close a relationship with Dana White as I do with Hunter, but both of them are top guys, top quality guys, man, from my experience, from my personal experience with them. So, yeah, that's that. He says, are you doubling down on your takedown defenses and ground game? Interestingly enough, because what I feel is happening for me personally. So a lot of people say, like, do you do your jiu-jitsu, wrestling? So I love jiu-jitsu, love wrestling. Obviously, that's not my strength. So what I feel is happening is, and there's guys, there's always, no matter who you talk to from any fighting gym in the world, there's always a few guys in their gym that has this issue. And when they're in the gym, they perform exceptionally well, and everyone's excited for them to kind of, be out and show the rest of the world what you get to see day in and day out. When they get to the stage, the lights, the crowd, the pressures that come with performing under the lights, they tend to not perform nowhere near as well, if not just completely look like a completely different person. Where I thrive under the lights, I thrive in my best area, in the kickboxing. I feel with the rest of the stuff, I feel like that kind of person where if I was wrestling, grappling in the gym, and I grapple with other people in other gyms, I feel competent, I feel good. But then when I get out there, that's not my comfort. So then I lose myself a little bit, and I'm nowhere near performing at the best. So definitely, I said to myself, let me just double down, as you're saying, and just focus a little bit more intently just on the grappling. So that's what maybe my goal is for the rest of this year. I might get another fight, might not, but for now I am focusing on just doing that. Not because, obviously I can get better in everything, not because I feel like I need to get better, but I just feel like I need to be able to switch it on when it counts. Hi Michael, how do you land a very telegraphed punch, like the overhand from so far away so consistently? Interesting enough, the way you've worded it, I think is incorrect, because it's not that telegraphed. I think what it is, from the outside, so it's like being in the crowd watching a football game, you can see the very obvious pass or the very obvious whatever it is because of from your perspective. When you're on the field, that pass or that whatever it is you're seeing is not as obvious. So in this case, we're talking about the punch. It's nowhere near as telegraphed, which is why it lands so regularly. If I use an analogy, the reason why we have brake lights on the back of our cars, the red brake lights on the back of our cars, is because humans don't see very well in straight lines. Yeah, so if we didn't have those tell signs of the brake light, we wouldn't see in time when a car is slowing down, and people would just keep crashing into the back of other people. With that in mind, straight lines is a very hard punch to register. And the punch that you're talking about, we call it a flyby or a blitz. You're going darting forward from distance. Again, it's very hard to register this information because it's just how there's no red lights on my hand as I'm coming towards you to show you that it's coming. So that's one of the reasons that, and then the other side of it is the footwork that I'm doing constantly to maneuver my opponents into the kind of places that I need them to be in to obviously land the telegraphed punch. But I get what you're saying, but just from that, I think it's said wrong just because of the lack of understanding there, but hopefully that helps. Do you believe you can still be champ? 100%. Now, like I said, I've come in here to just kind of make a lot of noise, but I also come in here with a purpose. You know, I've had a little bit of a diversion with regards to my last fight, but I feel like just what I've built in terms of my name still holds a lot of weight. One more fight, I'm still back in that realm of the top spot. We're still talking. People still want me to be up there, and this is one of the reasons why, even with the other person that asked, I say it's important to have and create and build your brand and market yourself the right way, because it's in these kind of scenarios that for other people that's a bigger drop, that's a bigger fall, but for myself I don't feel like that's the case. Yes, I'm still looking to go to the top, and you can just look at the likes of, you know, the guy that opened the door for the UK champs, you know, Michael Bisping being the first, but look at what age he did it at. Look at how long he was in the UFC for him to get that opportunity. You just have to still be there and keep winning. Things move and go up and down all the time, and you just have to be in the right place, and you have to be in it and in the right place in order to do to kind of create that, or create those opportunities to be able to get that title in this case. So yeah, 100%, I definitely believe I can be champ. I'm doing some work that needs to be done. I feel that needs to be done, but I still feel so competent in this game. And you see from the speed, yeah, again, yet another young, fast striker that I've turned into a handbag. I can't even call him a backpack. I feel that's disrespectful to the backpack. I turned him into a handbag in that fight, which shows you that my striking level is exactly where it needs to be, and still growing. But there's other areas that I need to just tighten up, just to kind of force people into that game and to have to strike with me the whole time. And I feel like I can do that to absolutely anybody. Would you ever try boxing again? It's a difficult one, because I'm gonna say I would like to, but at the same time I've got so much. I'm a bit more focused now on the UFC, with the last question, getting to the belt. You can't be distracted, you know? And also being in the UFC is you're very restricted to just having those fights in the UFC. With regards to maybe after my career ends, maybe, I don't know. I like to have fun. I believe I'll always be talented enough to be able to have a boxing fight and keep safe, regardless of the winning or losing. I think keeping safe is the most important thing. So potentially, yes, but for right now, I'm gonna say it's an absolute no. So for while I'm at this point of my career, absolutely not. But after my career, who knows? What advice would you give your 20-year-old self? Take more responsibility and more ownership in the direction that you want to go in. I feel like I've had a lot of, rightly so to be fair, but a lot of faith in close friends and family and advices that come from around me, which has helped navigate my path. But I feel like sometimes you need to make those risks, especially when you're younger, take those risks early, because you can always recover from them at that young age. Later on, it's a little bit more difficult, but I had to be willing to tell people that are close to me that I'm not gonna go along with that advice. And it's okay to, you know, it's okay to ask for advice and then not accept it and not use it. But having different perspectives can help build or give you the answer that you need. So yeah, definitely taking a little bit more ownership over certain decisions that I should have made. I feel like it took me too long to start saying like, okay, no, I'm gonna do it this way, I'm gonna find my path. And this is in, not just within the sport, this is outside the sport as well. So yeah, that's definitely some advice I give to my younger self. Have you considered putting your hands higher or changing your guard in the middle of a fight or during camp for a specific fighter? I've never felt the need to. I genuinely believe, and big-headed as it may seem, is my striking, my timing, my movement, my speed, and just the abilities that I have while striking is just superior to, there's no point changing for other people. I think, and I always like to give analogies, but I feel like if I'm a football team, let's say Barcelona, my attack force is insane, yeah? And then I get another team whose attack is very good. Do I change and focus on my defense and focus on that side and then neglect what I have been giving me success all the time? Change that? No. Barcelona's gonna go out there, and even if they, you know, the team in front of them scores 2 goals, they're gonna score 4. So they just focus on their attribute. And that's me, I'm focusing on my attribute. I'm not gonna change. Or don't get me wrong though, I've had a fight I'm gonna say, during COVID, or just as COVID was coming out. I was the first person to fight in France when France finally let MMA into their country. So I was the first main event in France, but everyone was over spraying the canvas because of this COVID thing, and the place, it was an ice rink. So by the time I've jumped in, it was hard for me to maintain a bounce because I was slipping all over the place. And even when I watched back the show, so many people threw high kicks and stuff and just fell on the floor. So yeah, in that fight, mid-fight, I had to flatten my feet and walk forward, like a bit more of a Muay Thai style. You can watch that fight back as against Ross Houston. Everyone, there's commentators even at the time, were like, oh, Ross Houston's made him put his hands up. It had nothing to do with Ross. No disrespect to him. It just had everything to do with the canvas, and I had to be smart during the fight and make those adjustments during the fight to make sure I stay safe, because if I can't maneuver in and out as quickly as I know I can, that's where me with my hands down becomes dangerous. So therefore I was like, you know, go back to pure basics, had my guard up, you know, and I won the fight. So yeah, you definitely have to make adjustments where necessary, but I wouldn't do it in preparation for a specific opponent. Do you ever see yourself going up to middleweight? There's a lot of fun matchups for you to have up there. 100%. There's a lot of fun matchups up there. I have definitely thought about it, and I can definitely see myself doing it. All honesty, it makes it 10 times easier to not have to cut as much weight. So there's that. Obviously the guys are naturally going to be a bit bigger than me, so I have to make sure all the areas that I'm still working on now, the wrestling and stuff, the wrestling and the grappling, I'm in a place where I can cope with heavier opponents. Right now, if I'm not dealing with it as well as I know I should be with people my weight, then dealing with people heavier is going to be even more difficult. And again, I think the same thing is going to happen with regards to, I'm going to start striking people, regardless of them being a middleweight. They're going to see how fast I am moving, landing strikes, and they're going to want to grab me. They're going to want to take me down to the floor. And it's going to be even more obvious that they've got the added weight advantage as well. So definitely some fun fights. But once I've sorted out a few things, watch this space next year, because seriously, I'm really focused on this, like correcting this space. Next year, come back, I'm looking to clear out the welterweight division, and then yeah, you'll probably see me go up as well. So definitely in future, at some point, you could probably see me go up into the middleweight, because like you say, there's some fun fights, I agree. What would you change about the current MMA rules? Judges, scores, weight cuts, etc. It's a good question. There's a couple things. The game is slowly changing and there has been some adjustments. So with the judges, I feel like we've had so many just random scores to the point where even the other day, a judge got told to bounce, yeah? So it means that these guys, I don't know what's going on, or they're getting tired or they need to change judges like every other fight or something, but there's so many wayward decisions sometimes. Something is going wrong there. I think the rule set is changing to accommodate a bit more people that are wanting to finish a fight. I've always said, if wrestler versus striker, I don't mind the wrestling if you wrestle and then there's an intention behind trying to finish a fight, whether it be from a submission or, you know, ground and pound, trying to take someone's head off. But if you're wrestling to just survive or wrestling to just hold, which I've had a lot in my career, people are trying to do that, just trying to survive and go through it and then just sneak a win. I don't believe you should be allowed to win a fight that way. There should be, you can always tell the difference. There should be a lot more intention with what you're doing. So I guess I'll change that. Weight cuts, I would love it if we didn't have to cut so much weight. If we could fight roughly within our weight. I don't know how they would figure that out, whether there's a rehydration clause or whatever. I just think it has to all happen at the same time. Otherwise, there is an advantage in cutting that weight and then being quite big when you actually get in. There's a massive advantage to that. There are disadvantages, but I think there's more advantages. So if we can figure out a way that, you know, eradicates that behavior of having to cut so much weight and everybody can roughly, you know, maybe cut, just because you're going to naturally get more in shape, you probably only have to cut a few more kgs. Similarly to boxing, maybe it's adding weight divisions. I'm not sure the exact way to fix that, but I would like to see that change. There's one thing, this is it's a random one, but I've always thought this doesn't make sense. So since I'd say the likes of Conor McGregor, and I'd say more him, just because it's happened before, but I'd say he's more made it a thing to do. Everyone going up a weight and trying to get multiple weight belts in multiple different weights, which is fine. If I am a welterweight champion and I go up to middleweight and I take that risk to go up to middleweight to fight the champion of middleweight, for the middleweight champion, there's a potential of him losing his belt. For the welterweight champion, so say me going up, there's no risk of anything. It's a win-win. If I lose, I am still a champion at welterweight. And technically it's like, well, yeah, you lost against the bigger guy. No big deal. But the middleweight guy loses his belt, and double whammy is you lost against the lighter guy. So there's that as well. I feel that both fighters should have something to lose. So what I suggest is that if I'm going up to middleweight from welterweight, I should have put my belt on the line. What that means is obviously the middleweight guy can't take the belt because technically he didn't fight at that weight, but it means I lose the belt. So if I lose the fight, I'm also now no longer the welterweight champion. Like immediately that belt is vacant, and then two other people can go and fight for that belt, and maybe I'm number one ranked for a rematch to then go back and get it. But I just feel like it will make less people take that risk. I don't think it's even a risk. If I've got the belt at welterweight, why not go for middleweight and just see if I can fight? Why not go for light heavyweight? Why not go for whatever weight it is? Because what if I lose? I lost against the guy that's at the top of his game, but at a heavier weight than me. So there's already an excuse. Whereas if I win, then man, I'm even more of a G. I've taken the guy above me's weight away, and I've got two belts now, and there's just so much more glory for me for there to be had for myself. So I feel like if I'm gonna take that risk, there should be something that I'm gonna lose. So I think that's one rule that I think needs to change. Let me know what you think about that one. We'll do some more questions. Apologies if I didn't get to your questions. Some of your questions were shit, I'm not gonna lie. Some of your questions are a bit sameish, but hopefully with the ones that I did answer, you got your answer from those questions. It's the one and only MVP, Michael Venom Page. Comment down below for other things for later on. Hit the notification bell for up and coming videos, and subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you guys are liking the content, and I will see you another time.